Hey everybody, welcome to today's amazing broadcast. I really want to celebrate Ev. Ev is an amazing widow that one of a kind, absolutely one of a kind. Ev joined the Flow program a couple of months ago after struggling with grief, but I'll let her explain more and go more into her story and her but she was one of the unique ladies that actually did it within the 8 weeks. Now, and I say one of the unique ladies is because many of you ladies and many of the ladies that have been through my Flow program take a lot longer than 8 weeks. They take maybe 10 weeks, 11 weeks, because there's a lot to process and a lot of moving through. But Ev was determined that she didn't want to feel the way she was forever. And in her words, she didn't have time to wait. She wanted to move forward fast.
Right.
So welcome, Ev. And if you want to just briefly explain your story and how and why you wanted to move forward fast.
Well, 6 months, and it was sudden. He was diagnosed and passed in 18 days. We had retired 13 years ago, and we spent a lot of time together. We did a lot of traveling. There's a better along, which is weird, but I know the whole month of August I was living in terror now that I look back. And when he passed, it was just so sudden because he was supposed to come home from hospice, and because they were going to get his breathing regulated, and he was in hospice for 20 minutes and he passed away. And my girls were with me. It was just very shocking, and so I'm going to say I really don't remember those first 6 months. I don't know. I mean, I muddled my way through with the pension and the Social Security and, the funeral and all the things that I had to do. But I couldn't, like for the pension stuff, and, they sent me the papers and I couldn't even, I could write my name and that was it. I had to take everything to the union hall and have them fill it out. It was just 6 months of a fog. I don't know how I got there. I couldn't, my head, and when your program came up on Facebook, and I'm always amazed how things come my way, and I check into them. And then the other thing, I was on these Facebook pages, like for widows only, and of just all kinds of different widow sites. And they're all saying that the second year is worse. And I thought, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Second year. I can't do it. I cannot feel like this for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then some ladies were like 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And I'm like, I'm 68 years old. Yeah. I do not have 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
I have to figure out my life now.
Yeah.
I've got 2 girls and 5 grandkids. I don't have 5 years to do that. I think. So they came up with the program, and I gave Denise a call, and the whole 8-week thing sounded real good to me. I can do 8 weeks. And it was amazing. I was just talking to my daughter tonight, and she said, I have just seen such a big change in you. You're acting like your old self, and you're able to handle things. You remember, the brain fog was awful, just awful. Mm-hmm. So, the program really worked for me, and I worked hard. I really dived into it and followed everything. And once I got going, the things that I wrote down was amazing to me. Mm-hmm. I found that I would think about Ken every second I was awake, and my head would just spin all the time. And those thoughts were replaced by, what am I going to do with myself? So, I was concentrating more on me. And I did everything. If somebody suggested something, I was on it. I read all the books. I went to my hospice grief share meetings, and I just wasn't getting anywhere. I think I was getting sadder and sadder, and it wasn't getting, I just wasn't getting anywhere with it. And I swear that first call and the first series you sent me was remarkable. Just in the first session was remarkable for me.
After the first week, and this is what I say to everybody that's on the call, and I say that, and a lot of ladies go, impossible. I've been grieving for 5 or 10 years or 2 years or however long it is. And I say within the first week, you are going to have a shift. You are going to move forward with your life. And
it is so very true.
Yeah. So Ev, what is different between what you had been trying, and you, as you said, you had tried everything. You went to Grief Share, you read books, you did everything. What is different about the flow method and what you were doing and how you were trying to heal your grief?
Well, I think for me, I mean, we can't change what is.
Yeah, that's right.
If we could change it, if there was a formula, we would do it.
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I had to realize that this is now my life. And my husband would not want me to sit here and cry all the time and be so incredibly sad.
Yeah.
He more than anybody would want me to figure it out, move on with my life, and be happy again. Just be happy.
Yeah.
And so, for me, I think it's something I need to do for him, for his sake, as well as my own. And I believe that he was like his mom. His family is like this. His mom passed away at the age of 68. His brother passed away just before he turned 68. And Ken was 68.
Wow.
It was 3 days before he turned 68. So I think that after the 911 call and he couldn't breathe, then that whole thing, he had told my daughter in the hospital, I had left to go home and take a shower. He said, I cannot do that to your mom again. So that makes me choke up when I say that. So I think he had it in his head when he got to hospice, that was going to be it. He was not coming home.
Yeah.
Was not going to have me taking care of him. And that's the way his family is. Those people die in their sleep. They're not having people take care of them.
Yeah.
So I think he had it in his head that was going to, and I think because of that, because he was thinking of me and how it would be for me, even though I would have done anything to take care of him, he passed so quickly. So I wouldn't suffer, and so my kids wouldn't suffer, and go through what it was inevitable he was going to go through. He had stage 4 cancer. I mean, in 18 days, he had lung cancer, lesions on his abdomen, and lymph nodes.
So that
they couldn't find the primary.
So that left you, after he passed away, in a state of shock. And
shock.
Absolute shock. What happened? Because death is so final. Death is something that even when we expect it, like, your husband had stage 4 cancer, you knew inevitably there was an end date. But when that death happens, it's so final. And that's where we as widows start looking at what other widows are doing. and we get the wrong information. We get misinformed on what's working, on, wait for time, go through the 5 stages of grief. That's what is being taught at Grief Share. It's being taught by a therapist. It's being taught by well-meaning health professionals. But is that working? Did that work for you?
Not really. No, because it just emphasized the fact that this was going to take me years to get through. Years.
Yeah.
And in the sadness and the heartache, I mean, it's like physically, mentally, and emotionally painful. There are no words to describe how painful this whole thing is.
And when you started, when you started working with me in the flow method, how long did it take for that initial pain and that heartache and that fogginess?
The first week. The first week.
Within the first week.
Absolutely. Yeah. For me, it was the first week.
Yeah.
Like the first day, that night, I started on the program, and once you start writing all those things out, like you instruct us to do, and even like a couple of them, I breezed through them, and I'm like, I don't think this pertains to me. But once you start writing and get some words going, it's amazing the things that you put down on paper that you had no idea was in your head.
So this is really your inner journey.
Get all that stuff out.
Yeah. This is your inner journey. This is the inner work that we have to do to reclaim our lives as widows. But it's even more than that. It's staking your stake in the ground and saying, this is my life, this is my future, but who am I? And
right, because you know who you are when you're a we.
Yeah.
But when you become a me, you're lost.
Totally
lost.
And then we try and do it on our own, and we go to Grief Share, we go to a therapist, and that's all talk therapy. And then you're sharing your story with other widows, and they're sharing theirs, and that's information. We cannot heal ourselves with information. We have to do the inner work. And it's the inner work that creates change within weeks, or in your case, within the first week.
Oh, the first week, because those memories I was having that wouldn't get out of my head, the journaling. Now, prior to that, someone said you need to journal, which that was very, very helpful, the journaling. Mm-hmm. And you have us do journaling. And it's amazing what for me, the journaling was wonderful, because I could get it out of my head and down on paper. And it was like, okay, now I can move on with what I need to do next. Yeah. And your program walks you through that step by step. It's just amazing. I used to be living in the basement, I'm sure. And with this isolation, I may have been able to get myself up to the apartment, but I do not think I could get to the penthouse on my own. No. And when I say I could get myself up to the apartment, that would have taken me months and months to do that. Yeah. Because living in the basement is very easy. It's a safe place to be.
Very safe. And that's how we live, because that's our comfort zone. That's where we know how to live. It's easy to become the victim of our circumstances, whether it's grief or or the virus as it is now. It doesn't matter. The basement is being the victim. When we step up into the next level, and I mean, this is all in the program. This is just for the ladies that don't know what we're talking about. You have to do the program.
Right. It was all very interesting and very insightful. I mean, you really do some soul searching. Yeah. And it's all good stuff. Yeah. And for me, I have a wonderful support system. My girls are wonderful. My family family is wonderful. My friends and my neighbors, they're wonderful. They're there for me whenever, and they check on me and stop in. And, you know, I know some ladies don't have that.
Yeah.
And I do. I have a wonderful support system. But, you know, I have a dear friend that lost her husband 4 months before me. And so I spend a lot of time with her. And, you know, very supportive. And I've reached out to a couple other ladies that I've kind of lost contact with, and they had lost their husbands like years ago. And they somehow are doing well. And I found that these grief support things I was involved in and these books were just, they weren't happy. I didn't feel that I had, you know, it was a long road to take.
If you take it on your own.
Program really do that. Yes, on your own. You know, like these ladies that I know, it's, you know, it's been 4 or 5 years for them.
Yeah.
And I just don't have 4 or 5 years.
No. And that's the
I don't. I can't do that to my grandkids.
None of us have 4 or 5 years to be in sadness and in pain, regardless of age. You know, when I passed away, I was 1, and I didn't want to stay in my pain forever. I couldn't see myself living like that for the next 5 to 7 years.
No. And I'm not used to being sad. I'm not a sad person. So this sadness, this desperate sadness that I had, and pain in my heart, and my chest was heavy, and I couldn't breathe, and my head was spinning. I couldn't concentrate on anything. You know, I've never had that. I had a wonderful childhood, wonderful marriage, wonderful kids. You know, I am so blessed.
Yeah.
Talking about your program really emphasizes your blessing. And you appreciate all those little things that you've taken for granted because it's always the way it's been. You appreciate them so much more. And it's really life-changing to understand that.
It's true transformation. It's not information. The books, the grief share, the therapy is information. But the flow method and the flow program, would you say it's transformation rather than information?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I was telling my daughter tonight, because we had one conversation, I remember, and I said to you, oh, this is, and you said to me, you have to change your words. It's not hard, it's challenging.
Yeah.
And then that next segment was all about changing your mindset and what your words control your thoughts, and your thoughts control how you live.
Yeah.
So very true. Just changing your words around.
Yeah.
And getting those thoughts into your head. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
You know, you think it's a simple thing, but when you work on that and you work in your journaling, you bring that all that out of yourself that you didn't even know was there. And a lot of the things in the program were things that I have discovered, you know, like what's the worst that can happen to you if I do this or that. I have figured a lot of that stuff out over my years, but it all went away, and I didn't know how to get it back.
Yeah, and that's
the program brought a lot of that back to me that I, you know, and that was immediately gone. Well, you know, I turned into a me instead of a we. It worked for being a we, but you know, I didn't know what to do with myself. Yep. You know, we were married for almost 44 years. Yeah. So
it's a lifetime. And, you know, it's so important to do the inner work on ourselves. And I talk about this all the time. It's not about healing the grief, because grief never heals. It's about healing ourselves on an inner level, rediscovering who we are, learning to love ourselves. And all that is in the program. All that is in the program. But part of that is our one-on-one personal coaching calls that we have every week. How did you find that they linked in with the program?
Oh, I really look forward to our calls. And then, and then I noticed too that whatever I discovered about myself, I mean, you didn't quiz me on all of my personal life unless I brought it up.
Yeah.
If I brought up something, then we had a discussion about it.
Yeah.
And we worked our way through what all that was to and how to change words, that sort of thing. So, and it was, for me, I was excited because I felt better every single week. Every single week, I got better and better. I felt better about myself, better about my situation, better about my future. And I can now do things that I used to enjoy, like my crafting, and
yes.
Well, I like to do estate sales, but we can't leave our house. So I can follow a recipe. I can find my house again. I don't have to plug my house number into my GPS because I kept missing my roads and my street. Oh, it was awful. I would have, if I had to go somewhere, and I went everywhere. If somebody called and said, let's do this or that, I was there. And I know where everything is. I know how long it takes. I know how long it takes me to take a shower. But my head was so messed up and foggy, I would have to put in the GPS. How long does it take to get from my house to there? How long is it going to take me to take a shower? How long will it take for me to let my dog out? You know, I had to write every minute out before, so I could get there on time. And I still didn't make it.
No.
I still couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I missed something that I forgot to add in. And that was, and that's gone. I don't have to do that anymore. And that's how foggy I was.
Yeah. And how does that make you feel now that you and it just suddenly disappears, doesn't it? It's not like it's something that oh my goodness, you suddenly realize one day that, hang on, I'm not doing that anymore. And how does that make you feel? How do you feel about yourself?
I feel a whole lot lighter.
Yeah.
I don't have that heartache. I don't have that heaviness in my chest. My head doesn't spin like it used to. Once in a while things will come up and I'll, but I can get through it now. If I have a little breakdown, I'm okay with it. And I almost appreciate it.
Yes.
And I get through it and I'm good. I'm good for the rest of the day.
Do you think
the week or whatever?
Yeah. Do you think that when you have the breakdown, you know that you've got the tools now to get yourself on that breakdown?
Yeah. Instead of, I don't know, feeling sorry for myself or feeling desperate and so sad, I've turned it around to how lucky was I to have him. And I have so many wonderful, now see, I'm going to tear up about that. But that's how emotional I get about it, because it's a different kind of breakdown. Yeah. It's a different kind of, like the memories are now, one day I want to smile at the memories, and I'll get there, and I do often. Some things, like the new stuff that pops up, it takes me a little bit longer, but I almost encourage it.
So would you say then that over the 8 weeks, over the 8 weeks that we've worked together, and you've worked with the flow program and the flow method, that your pain has been, when you look back at your life, that you were looking back with pain and heartache, would you say that you're now looking back with love instead of pain?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love, gratitude, how blessed I am for my past, for my future. Gratitude, you know, it's a different feeling. Instead of being lost and foggy,
Mm.
you know, I can get up and function, and if I want to take a day off and not do anything, I'm like, so be it. You know, in isolation, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And the other thing, I know a lot of the ladies have trouble with being in this pandemic isolation we're going through.
Mm.
And I found, because I was taking the course during that time,
Yeah.
and I think it really allowed me to really get into the course. If we didn't have the pandemic, I have 5 grandkids they're all in sports.
Mm.
Every single one of them, you know, and there's always, you know, there could be 5 games in one night that that's how busy, that was my social life. And the busyness that I was going through, I don't know if I would have gotten through the course as fast or as good as I did. But the isolation gave me a lot of time to concentrate on myself.
Mm.
And I think it was helpful. Now I'm getting kind of bored. But
yeah, because you've had
the time.
Yeah. So the isolation right now with what we're going through right now worldwide, now is the time. Now, you know, it's like I said to somebody the other day, and I say it to everybody, if not now, when? You know, a lot of ladies like to think about it. I don't know if now is the time. I'm not sure if I'm committed. And really, we've got to put all that, excuse my language, bullshit aside, and we've got to say, hey, if not now, when? When am I going to actually invest in me? When am I going to heal me? It's not about, I need to think about it. What are you thinking about? Do you thinking about whether you want to heal yourself or whether you want to, you know, it's a no-brainer.
There's no time. Yeah. You don't have, the sooner the better. The sooner you start the program, the better for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, do it for yourself. You know, my daughter told me tonight she's seen such a difference in me.
Yeah.
And you know, she's happy. She's happy for me.
Yeah.
And I think when you're better, your children are better, your friends are better, whatever, your whole surroundings are better. Everybody's better for it.
Your whole life is better.
Yes. And the isolation, I think if I hadn't gone through the program, I think the whole isolation thing would have just made me worse.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have known how to get through my days.
Yeah. You wouldn't have had the tools. You would not have had the tools.
Yeah.
And in everything,
I wouldn't have been able to handle it.
Yeah. There's a gift in everything. You know, my gift when Martin passed away was that I do what I do now. If he hadn't have passed away, I would have still been going on with my merry life. And it's only when we do the self-reflection and the self-inner work that we can find those gifts. Because if we're looking outside for when am I going to find my gift? Where's my gift? I've got to find it. You're never going to find that gift because you have to find yourself first.
Right. And I don't know what my future is going to be, but I'm fine with that. I'm living in today.
Yeah.
And as you know, I'm sure things will come up because things have been thrown in my path.
Yeah.
Old friends, new friends.
Yeah.
You know, that popped up on my Facebook. I mean, I've been a widow and with these widows groups for 6 months, and then all of a sudden your post pops up.
Yeah.
You know, was that coincidence? You know, how did that happen?
Yeah.
How did that get in front of my face? And why did I follow through on that?
Yeah.
Typically I don't look at those things. But I saw that 8 weeks and I thought, yeah, I can do 8 weeks.
Yeah.
I can do, but I can't do 9. I cannot do 9 weeks. It has to be 8 weeks.
And you did. I'm so proud of you. So
yeah.
I'm so proud of you. You know, it was like, yes, Eve's booked a call again. Yeah. A week later, it was like, yes, you know, and what would you like to say to all the ladies that are watching us today? What would you like, what message, if there was one thing you would say to them, what would it be?
You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your husband to move forward. And you can't do it by yourself. I tried everything.
Yeah.
Everything they suggested. I tried it.
Yeah.
And some things are helpful for a while, but then you fall back into that grief pattern that you're in, and it's so hard to dig yourself out of it. And if you don't know how to do it, it's going to take a long time, if ever, to figure out what you're supposed to do with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Because you can't do it by yourself. I don't care what you think. You know, like I said, I have a wonderful support group. Wonderful. And I was determined that I needed to move on, but I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it.
Yeah. 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 And, you know,
and that first week was very insightful for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the first week is when you kick off. The first week of the flow method and the program is when we kick off. That's when you start going within and you start healing your inner at an inner core level. We get to the cause. Yeah, I believe, and I really truly believe that what is out there in the conventional way of the way grief has been done since the 1960s and beyond, and you know, and before that, it's a band-aid solution. It's like you've got this festering wound of pain, of heartache, and of loss, and it's just, well, we just put a band-aid on it and we don't see it, but underneath that is this festering pain. And that's why you have the grief roller coaster, and that's why you can't heal. But by listening to you, with hearing what you're saying about going through the flow program, you've got the tools now to unlock it and rip that band-aid off and say, no, I need to go down to come up.
Right. It's like taking an aspirin for a broken leg.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've had that. I had 2 broken ankles at the same time. So yeah. I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
But you can deaden that pain, and but when the medication wears off, it still hurts.
It's still there. That pain is still there. And the very first,
you can't take medication because you have to figure out how to work your way through these things.
And of course, the flow method is the very first letter is feel. F for feel. We can't heal what we don't feel, because it's
right.
only when we feel that pain and we feel that emotion and that we can let go, so that we can overcome and become whole. So would you say in a very short of 8 weeks that you've felt your pain, you've let go, you've overcome, and would you say that you are now whole?
I would say so.
Yeah.
I would say so.
Yeah.
And if I do get those feelings, I acknowledge them, yeah. And I actually kind of enjoyed them because he's still with me. You know, I still have my memories of him, and I don't know, it's just a different feeling than it used to be.
Yeah, because you've transformed and you've got the tools and you've had the help. You know, you made such a valid point earlier that we cannot do this on our own. We think we can. We can go and read a book, or we can go and read a self-help book. We can read a grief book. We can go to a grief share meeting and we're going to get all the answers. We're not. We have to do the inner work. And when we do the inner work, I know for my personal, and I know for you and all the hundreds of ladies that I've helped, when we do the inner work, guess what? Shit comes up. And if you don't know how to deal with that and you haven't got somebody saying, I'll help you, let me pull you through that, let's make sense of that, where does it come from, let's get to the core, you're not going to heal.
Right.
It again, and you're just going to get on with your life. Or think you're getting on with your life. Yeah.
Well, it's much easier to get through when I have those little episodes. It's a lot easier to recognize them, and I don't know, I don't want to say enjoy them, but appreciate them.
Yeah.
And able to deal with them in a positive way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of it, before it hurts so bad. It hurts so bad.
And you didn't know what to do. You were floundering.
Yeah, I didn't know where to put it. I'd sit here I'd have 3 or 4 good days, and I would be real proud of myself, and then I'd have a week where I couldn't do anything. I was just in so much pain, and I was just desperately sad. Just so sad, and I felt like I walked around with an aura of sadness around me. And I know people felt that. When I would run them, say, at the grocery store, I know they felt that sadness that I was emoting to them. And I felt bad about that because, people don't want to, it's like, oh no, here's the sad lady.
That's right.
Or if you tried to call somebody, like, oh no, should I answer the phone? It's the sad one.
Yeah.
And I didn't make phone calls. My friends would say, call me if you need to. Well, I couldn't even make a phone call. Well, now during this isolation, all those people that have checked on me faithfully, I feel like now I should call them and see how they are. And I don't have a problem making that phone call to them.
So you've really, truly transformed. You started as a caterpillar and you went through the cocoon stage, which is the 8 weeks program, and went through the flow method. It's a unique method. Would you say that this method is so unique that not many people know what it's all about?
Oh, I don't think anybody knows what it's all about.
Yeah.
We have the grief books. You can go, order them on Amazon or go to the bookstore, and they all pretty much say the same thing.
Yeah.
And they're not very encouraging.
Yeah.
I wasn't encouraged that my life would get better soon.
And then
not that I don't have a good life, that feeling of peace and comfort and security and joy that you used to have, I was afraid I would never get that back.
And have you got that back? Yeah, and you've got that back now. So, and that was in a very short period of time, 8 weeks.
8 weeks.
8 weeks. 8 weeks.
I was doing it in 8 weeks too. I was not faltering that 8
and
weeks.
You did it in exactly 8 weeks.
I have to move on. I don't care if the pandemic's here. I don't care. I have to. I cannot live like this. And I know my husband would not want me to. He did not pass so quickly for me to live like that.
Yeah. And even your daughter has noticed a change in you. We don't think
she has noticed it.
Yeah. We don't think that others see how we feel, but they do. They can feel our energy. They can see how we walk, how we talk, what we say. And when you transform like you have, when you have true transformation, which is what the flow method is all about, it's about transforming you into being the best person you can possibly be. Everybody notices it. All of a sudden they're saying, wow, look at you.
Right. Well, my sister-in-law, she's stuck down in Florida, and right after I started the program, she said, oh, you sound so much better.
Yeah.
And, I thought I was still having a regular conversation, but I think the tone of your voice, the words you're using, she could feel that through the phone.
Absolutely. You feel it through the phone.
Yeah. My other friends, of course, we can't see each other now or, have much face-to-face stuff going on. I mean, we do Facebook, but they can tell. They can tell. And they've made comments. Yeah. So that's encouraging. Yeah. So makes me feel better. I don't want to go somewhere and be the sad person and everybody has to sit there with me and be sad.
Yeah.
I want,
Yeah, you want to be the hero of your life, not the victim.
Right.
You want to be the hero. Right. And we all want to be the hero. But we can't be the hero without help. We can't be the hero trying to be the hero on our own because we don't know what we don't know. We just don't. So, ladies, you've heard what Eva said. This is a real live person. I know I get a lot of people when I make the call. They say, "Oh, you called me."
Yeah, she calls you. Actually calls you. And if you need her help during the course, She will answer you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can email her or whatever, text or whatever,
Yeah.
and she'll help you out. I'm
Yeah.
not very tech savvy, so I had a lot of problems with that.
But it's about your healing, and it's about moving through your grief. Not for me, because I've done the work on myself, and I'm still doing work on myself, as you know. So, what's the last thing that you'd like to say? Just very briefly, what's the very last thing you'd like to say to the ladies watching today?
I would say if you want to move forward with your life that you can live with, you need to have Denise give you a call and consider going through the program. It was life changing for me. You can't, I mean, you got to be a super person to be able to do it by yourself. And none of us have time to wait for 5 years to do that. And you'll be happy. You'll find yourself again. You'll find happiness. You'll find joy. You'll find peace. And when you have your moments, you'll know how to work yourself through them.
Yeah.
And come out on the other side better for it.
That's fantastic.
Because you have to feel.
Yeah. And you also have to know what you're feeling. That's the key. There's no point just feeling that.
And why you're feeling it.
Yeah.
Because you help us through the whys.
Yeah.
Of how you are, or why you're the way you are, and why you think the way you think. It's worth the investment, and there's no better person to invest in than is yourself.
Yeah.
Do it for your kids, do it for your grandkids, do it for your parents and whoever.
Yeah, absolutely. So
you'll help them in their grief also.
Yeah, you do. You pay it forward because you're healed. So, ladies, if you want to book your call with me, the link is livingbeyondgriefandloss.com/talk. That's the free breakthrough call where I go through and I help you uncover where you are, where you've been. But the most important part of our call is where you want to go. Because you know where you've been, you know where you are, and that's not a great place to be. So book your call with me. It's livingbeyondgriefandloss.com/talk. I call you and it's a free call. That's how Ev started, was on our call. She got started there and then on the day, didn't hesitate, didn't have to think about it. And 8 weeks later, 8 weeks later, Ev's whole life has transformed. It hasn't changed, it's transformed. Ev has transformed into a very powerful, loving woman that she was already and is, and uncovering even more about herself. Ev has learned to love herself on an inner core level. So, book your call. It's a free call. You've got nothing to lose. So, Ev, thank you so much for sharing today. You've shared from your heart, and I really appreciate that. And we'll talk soon.
Okay, sounds good. See you Wednesday.
Yeah, see you Wednesday on our social hour. Love you all. Bye.
Bye.